Hey, you know that feeling when you walk into a car dealership just to browse, and suddenly you're sitting in a finance office signing papers for a car you didn't even plan to buy today? Yeah, that's not an accident. That's a carefully engineered psychological trap that's been perfected over nearly a century. And today I'm pulling back the curtain on exactly how they do it. Stay with me because what I'm about to show you will save you thousands of dollars the next time you're shopping for a car. And if you want to become someone who never gets played by these tactics again, hit that like button right now and subscribe because we're diving deep into the dark psychology of car sales. Hey, this is Mark, and you're welcome to AUTOSAYS. So picture this. It's 1926, and a guy named Edward Bernays, Sigmund Freud's nephew, literally writes the book on propaganda and public relations. And guess which industry was one of the first to weaponize his techniques? The automobile industry. They realized something incredible back then. People don't buy cars based on logic. They buy them based on emotion, and then they justify that emotional decision with logic afterward. Fast forward to today, and dealerships have turned this into a science so precise, so calculated, that most people don't even realize they're being manipulated until they're driving home wondering what just happened. Now, before we go further, let me ask you something. Have you ever noticed how dealerships always seem to have some kind of sale going on? Memorial Day sale, 4th of July blowout, end-of-month clearance, manager's special, year-end event? Here's the dirty secret. These sales never actually end, they just change names. It's like a restaurant that always has a grand opening sign in the window. The first psychological weapon they use against you is called manufactured scarcity, and it's brilliant in its simplicity. Think about it this way. Back in the 1950s and 60s, when the American automotive industry was absolutely booming, manufacturers like Ford and Chevrolet were pumping out millions of cars. There was no real scarcity. But dealerships learned that if they could make you believe that this specific car with this specific color with these specific features might not be here tomorrow, your brain's fear center, the amygdala, lights up like a Christmas tree because humans are hardwired with loss aversion. We're more motivated by the fear of losing something than by the prospect of gaining something. Here's where it gets really interesting. They combine this with something called the decoy effect. You know how you came in looking at a $30,000 sedan, but suddenly the salesperson is showing you a $45,000 luxury model? That's not because they think you'll buy it, although they'd love it if you did. It's because they're setting an anchor point in your brain. Now, when they bring you back to that $35,000 model, which was actually above your budget, it feels like a reasonable compromise, even a bargain. The finance industry caught on to these techniques in the 1970s and 80s, and this is when car buying became less about the actual price of the car and more about monthly payments. Think about how they always ask you,
What monthly payment are you comfortable with? They don't want to talk about the total price because once they know your monthly number, they can stretch the loan from 48 months to 60 months to 72 months, and suddenly you're paying thousands more in interest. But hey, the monthly payment fits your budget, right? Now, let me hit you with something that's going to blow your mind. In 1983, consumer debt in America was around $1.5 trillion. Today, it's over $17 trillion, and a massive chunk of that is auto loans. The average car payment in America right now is over $700 a month, and the average loan term has stretched to almost 70 months. That's nearly 6 years of payments for a depreciating asset. But here's the psychological trap. Dealerships have trained us to think in terms of monthly payments instead of total cost. It's the same reason why a $5 coffee doesn't feel expensive, but $1,800 a year on coffee sounds insane. They're exploiting something called temporal discounting, where our brains value immediate rewards over future costs. So let me take you inside the actual dealership tactics, because this is where it gets wild. You've been talking to your salesperson for maybe an hour, you've test-driven the car, you're feeling good, and then they hit you with, "Let me talk to my manager." This is the famous four-square method combined with the good cop, bad cop routine. Your friendly salesperson who's been your buddy this whole time now has to go battle with the mean manager on your behalf. Except here's what's actually happening. They're back there either grabbing coffee or discussing strategy on how to maximize profit from you. The manager isn't the bad guy, they're working together, and this whole performance creates something called reciprocity bias. Because your salesperson is fighting for you, you feel obligated to meet them halfway, to be reasonable, to compromise. Meanwhile, you're sitting in that little office, and this is crucial. You're in their environment, surrounded by their paperwork, sitting in their uncomfortable chair. Maybe you've been there for 2 or 3 hours now. This is deliberate. decision fatigue is real. Studies show that after making numerous decisions, our ability to make good choices deteriorates rapidly. That's why grocery stores put candy at the checkout line, and why dealerships save the finance office for last, after you've already made 50 micro decisions about color, trim level, trade-in value, and payment structure. And speaking of the finance office, oh man, this is where the real money gets made. You think you got a good deal on the car? Congratulations, you probably did, because they're about to make it all back and then some in the finance office. This is where they hit you with extended warranties, gap insurance, paint protection, fabric protection, theft deterrent systems, and the absolute masterpiece of manipulation. You want to protect your investment, don't you? See, they just spent 3 hours getting you emotionally attached to this car, and now they're leveraging that emotional investment. Your rational brain is exhausted, and your emotional brain is screaming, "Yes, protect my new baby." Here's a historical perspective that's fascinating. Before 1975, there was no Truth in Lending Act protection for car buyers. Dealerships could hide fees, inflate interest rates, and structure deals however they wanted. Even after regulation, they found loopholes. In the 1990s and early 2000s, dealerships made deals with lenders where they could mark up your interest rate and keep the difference as profit. If the lender approved you at 5%, the dealership could tell you your rate was 7% and pocket the difference. This practice, called rate markup, resulted in massive discrimination lawsuits and cost dealerships hundreds of millions in settlements. But here's the thing, many of these tactics just evolved into new forms. Now I want you to understand something really important about the time pressure tactic. This deal is only good today. If you leave, I can't guarantee this price. The sales event ends tonight. This creates something psychologists call temporal scarcity, and it shuts down your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for rational decision-making. They're literally trying to prevent you from going home, sleeping on it, doing research, or getting a better offer somewhere else. But here's what they don't want you to know. That deal will be there tomorrow, and if it's not, there's another dealer 10 miles away who will give you the same deal or better. The car market is more competitive than ever. Let me share something about market dynamics that completely changes the game. In 2023 and 2024, the used car market went absolutely crazy because of supply chain issues and chip shortages. Dealerships had real leverage because inventory was genuinely scarce. But here's what's happening now. Production is ramping back up, interest rates are high so fewer people are buying, and dealerships are sitting on inventory they need to move. The power dynamic is shifting back to buyers, only if you understand what you're walking into. The psychology they use against you works both ways. If they can manufacture urgency, you can manufacture your own by simply being willing to walk away. The most powerful word in negotiation is no, and the most powerful action is standing up and heading to the door. I've seen deals improve by thousands of dollars the moment someone reaches for the door handle. Why? Because the salesperson and manager just invested hours of their time, and they're subject to the same loss aversion you are. Now here's where this all comes together and why you need to stay until the end of this video. The ultimate defense against these tactics isn't just knowing about them, it's having a systematic approach that puts you in control. First, do all your negotiating via email before you ever step foot in a dealership. Get your financing pre-approved from a credit union or bank so you're not dependent on dealer financing. Know the invoice price, not just the MSRP. Walk in with a specific out-the-door price you're willing to pay, including all taxes and fees. When they start the psychological games, recognize them for what they are, manipulation techniques designed to separate you from your money. Every time they create urgency, slow down. Every time they use scarcity, walk away and call another dealer. Every time they talk monthly payments, redirect to total price. And here's the big one. Never, ever negotiate your trade-in, your new car purchase, and your financing all at once, because that's how they muddy the waters and hide where they're making money. Here's what almost nobody talks about. The dealers aren't evil, they're operating in a system designed 100 years ago that pits buyer against seller in an adversarial relationship. Tesla and some new companies are trying direct-to-consumer sales with no negotiation, and traditional dealers are fighting this model hard because it eliminates their psychological advantage. But until the whole system changes, you need to be the educated buyer who sees through the smoke and mirrors. So here's my challenge to you. The next time you're car shopping, I want you to catch them using these tactics in real time.
time. Notice when they manufacture scarcity. Recognize when they're anchoring you to a higher price. Feel when decision fatigue starts setting in, and then take a break. The car will still be there, I promise. And if you found this valuable, if you can already see how this information is worth thousands of dollars in your next car purchase, then do me a favor, hit that subscribe button because we're building a community of people who refuse to be played by these systems anymore. Drop a comment telling me which tactic you've experienced yourself, and stay tuned because next time I'm exposing the rental car industry's psychological tricks that make you buy insurance you absolutely don't need. Knowledge is power, but only if you use it. So take this information, protect your wallet, and remember, the best deal is the one where you stay in control from start to finish. I'm Mark, this is AUTOSAYS, and I'll see you in the next one.